This Tennessee Titans betting preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Circus Sports. Circus Sports is giving away $14 million this NFL season. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere. Get all the info over at circusports.com. We're also brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks and content available only to our patrons at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon.
Hey, this is Pac-Man Jones. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Someone brought the tighten up energy to the show today. Let's go.
Tighten up, tighten up, tighten up. Be great if we do all this and then I'm on the under.
Well, I was gonna say, will we be down on them this year and motivate them to have a great season, or will we be high on them and mush them into oblivion?
Ryan, I'm gonna say neither. We're gonna be high on them and we're gonna ride a ton of cash. You know, it is weird because we do have through the years. Again,
yes,
we are entering our 13th NFL season, picking every game against the spread. You're welcome, America. And what better way to support the gorillas in the gambling space? sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Sign up today. Toss us a couple bucks. Bonus episodes, the pick sheets, the behind the scenes episodes, the Patreon only Discord. We got our first contest coming up this weekend. That's going to be a lot of fun. Cash, prizes, memorabilia, just giving away a ton of stuff there to the hardcore DJs and exclusive merch. So much stuff going on, Ryan. But over the years, we've had teams where old school listeners will remember you loving the Texans, you loving the Rams.
Yeah, why not?
I feel like we both love the Steelers a bunch of years with good reason. Tomlin's been good to us. We've had love affairs with the Texans. You're on the fence with them again this year.
I zoned out for a second, just thinking like a greatest hits album cover with all the great teams that and it's just
all our past love.
It's just 2022 Texans, 2021 Texans, 2020 Texans.
It's like the 2008. Then you had like probably like a 7-year gap, and then you went back again on the Texans. It's just funny because we have these teams we're high on, these teams we fall in love with, the teams we hate. And the Titans, Ryan, we went toe to toe with those Titans teams a number of times, and I think it was that year they went on that run. Like we were fading them, and then I think when the playoffs started, I at one point flipped the switch and I was like, you know what, this Titans team just might be good. Started riding them. I think I had a money line when they took down the Ravens. Again, it's all blurring together, but the Titans have been a team that we've been cold on prior to. I know because we became familiar with the phrase tighten up because the Titan fans kept shoving it up our ass when they were doing good. And now this year, I'm definitely, especially coming off a 7-10 season, especially when you look at all those luck regression stuff, especially what they've done in the offseason, I'm much higher on this Titans team. And I think maybe learn the hard way a little bit, maybe a little late to the party on Mike Vrabel being a good coach, being a leader of men, willing to cut his dick off for the Super Bowl. That's the kind of energy we love here.
Yeah, I'm in honor of Coach Vrabel. I'm actually shout out to the Brat Stop. I'm wearing a Brat Stop shirt. Ask me about my wiener. Maybe the Brat Stop should send some down to Mike Vrabel. I'm sure he would get a kick out of that. Yeah, I think you maximize talent. You know that 4 out of 5 years they've gone over. They win 7 games or more every year. Yeah, I mean last year was his first sub 500
season, and it was again a lot of metrics had them as the unluckiest team. Based on blended fourth quarter win probabilities, the Titans should have won 9.4 games. I mean Malik Willis, Mike Vrabel almost beat the Chiefs in Kansas City with Malik Willis. If that doesn't show you this guy's a talent maximizer, I don't know what is. And to me, Vrabel, he really is kind of like Belichick in a lot of ways. They've done some confusing stuff with the roster. They've had some bad GMing. I guess in Belichick's case, he was actually the GM there, to put themselves kind of behind the 8 ball. But it does seem like they get the most out of what they have.
But look what happened to the GM.
Yeah.
What happened? AJ Brown came to town and had a GM firing day. He had a GM firing performance.
It really was pretty awesome.
That tells me that the GM went rogue.
Yeah.
Tried to get cute and rebuild in place by trading away their best offensive weapon. And Vrabel won that war. So what are we back to? Competing every year and looking at the roster and saying, what were we bad at? How do we fix that? Our offensive line was trash. Well, let's upgrade the shit out of it. Brought in, not to jump ahead. And simply, we weren't an explosive team. So they made some changes there. And I think you have to buy in a little bit to coaching, but there's not many staffs in the league where I'm more willing to buy into coaching matters than Vrabel, because he does it every year. He was willing to put his dick literally on the table.
And again, like it really is a tale of 2 seasons. They started out 7-3 and then lost 7 in a row. Like
I think when they started 7-3, they were a popular they're paper tigers.
They were due for a little regression, but then it was like, you look at the season long, it almost became too much. So 2022, they went 7-10, ATS record 9-7-1. Their win total was 9. They hit the under. Kramer was much more accurate in 2022. He had him 6-11. I had 10-7. I thought they were closer to that 7-3 team than they actually ended up being. Their DVOA rank was 23, offensive DVOA 21, defensive DVOA 19, estimated win 7.2, Pythag win 6.6, schedule rank 20th. So it was weird. Their defense really suffered. Their defense, I still think, is a pretty good defense. They had the number 1 rush defensive EPA. It's just they had some injuries on the back end and just could not really
pass
adjust.
Rush. Landry being out, top level pass rush talent. He was a guy we liked out of Boston College in the draft process a couple years ago. And he'll be back. He got hurt early in the season, September. So it sounds like while he wasn't practicing in OTAs, it does sound like he will be ready to go to start the season.
Yeah, and Tannehill, he was 16th in quarterback EPA, which is, I think, pretty good when you consider like the lack of weapons they had on that offense. I mean, they drafted Treylon Burks, who maybe has some potential, but he was still a rookie. He had some asthma issues, didn't get a full preseason. Like, easy to make a ton of excuses. Robert Woods was still coming off that Achilles or ACL.
Yeah.
He never was. He was kind of a non-factor. Might be okay this year, but he was still coming off that injury. They came nowhere near close to filling that gap with AJ Brown. And there was talk, maybe they're going to blow it up. Maybe they got Will Levis. Maybe it's going to be a tank season. But then signing DeAndre Hopkins, to me, it's obviously clear they're all in. And DeAndre Hopkins, very different body type than AJ Brown, but similar in the level of bringing down contested catches, which that's the type of receiver you need when you have Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, and I think, in some ways you can talk yourself into Ryan Tannehill still a pretty good quarterback, because look what happened when Malik Willis came in. And they drafted Will Levis. By all accounts, Sean, actually, yeah, we should just get to the changes, because
pull up the
I mean, so did a lot of kind of engagement with the Titans community to understand where everything's at. And I think I told you before the show, my first takeaway was like, wow, between the moves they made and what people are saying, this team believes they're competing to win a championship. Check. 2, everyone, and maybe this is them beating the franchise drum, but everyone is saying, look, the comments from Mike Vrabel were taken out of context last year. Him signing Josh Dobbs was more about, he really didn't envision a world where Malik Willis played in that first year, raw prospect. And so now they're saying he looks great. Now he looks looks like it took a big step forward.
They said he might be the second quarterback.
Oh, and the big talk really is how far away. So Tannehill is the locked in starter. Anyone who thinks that's not the case, also sounds like the local guys are mostly refuting the fact that Tannehill was shopped at all. Sounds like the Atlanta stuff was just people connecting dots because of the relationships there. And it sounds like Tannehill is very clearly Mike Vrabel's guy. And now they have two developmental guys behind it. Cause it sounds like both Will Levis and Willis, who is the number 2 right now, are far, far behind Tannehill. And so, sorry, back to the players being brought in, like bringing in Willis tells me that they still do believe in Tannehill, because Will Levis, much like Anthony Richardson, not going to be someone who produces early in his NFL career.
They didn't use a first round pick on him. I think the guy they did use a first round pick on was Skoronski. So their offensive line was really bad last year. They drafted Skoronski in the first round. They signed Andre Dillard. They're doing a lot of moves, and Andre Dillard, you know, he was, I wouldn't call him a bust. He was drafted in the first round. You know, Jordan Mailata came out of nowhere and is a better left tackle, but I think Andre Dillard is a replacement. I think he's a decent left tackle. I don't think he's going to be all pro. I don't think he's top 10, but I don't think he's that far off. You know, some ETR still had their O line dead last 32. I don't agree with that evaluation, because Dillard, who hasn't played a ton, but when he's filled in at left tackle for Mailata, I thought he looked pretty good. Like, I don't remember it costing them. He hasn't played a ton, but he's only allowed 1 sack in his last 261 pass block snaps since 2021. So I think Dillard, Skoronski, I think you're giving him a decent left side of the line. It does seem like Skoronski probably will play left guard.
Yes.
They are going to miss second year right tackle Nicholas Petit-Free. He's suspended for 6 games gambling. So he is not eligible for MLD, Ryan, because of course, most likely DGen, where we select the person we think will get suspended for gambling. The
what do we call that? The ARD already DGen?
Already DGen. I like that. Bud Dupree, they did lose him, but they brought in Arden Key. So I think that maybe, if not a good replacement, maybe even a little bit better. I think one of the big pickups for them, especially considering their issues with the secondary, cornerback from the Bucks, Sean Murphy Bunting, coming off his best season, 74.5 PFF coverage grade. So I think that to me was one that really Arden
Key probably
out.
worth.
Yeah, no, I just said Arden Key coming in for Bud Dupree. I think that's a good move for them.
But I still think it matters more that Harold Landry is healthy for their pass rush. And
that's also true. Yeah,
I think they glued up the secondary. I mean, if the secondary can play better in the obviously if the pass rush is there, they'll be better. This is a top rushing defense, as we mentioned earlier. And I think just in general, when you swap out 3/5 of an offensive, or I guess 4/5 of an offensive line year over year, it's hard to say, hey, they're definitely going to be just as bad as last year. That being said, the continuity piece, it is a little scary early in the season. But what I did hear again from a lot of the beat, it sounds like they are changing the way they're blocking. Like they're not just a pure power scheme. I'm not going to try to pretend like I know offensive line shit, but it sounds like they're moving to a way where scheme might matter a little bit more than just pure talent, which seems like that could help with a ragtag bunch.
Yeah. And kind of one more nugget here.
Any of the losses worry you? Other than Bud Dupree?
Bud Dupree, but again, they brought in Arden Key. I'm trying to think. I mean, Austin Hooper, you have Chigo Okonkwo, who again, I'm a big advocate for, athletic tight end, can do a bunch of stuff.
I'd say most of these guys don't matter. Maybe the linebackers.
Yeah.
Maybe
for depth. But
Andrew
again,
Adams.
I'm confident in Vrabel's ability to coach up, especially a front seven.
The O line was all trash, and they swapped their play caller. They brought in they promoted Tim Kelly to take over play calling duty. So they again, Vrabel identified a problem and said, "Get the fuck out of here, dude." And new play. So I mean, that's the basis for me being optimistic.
In general, the Titans coming in kind of as an underdog. If you look at their odds to win the division, their win total is only 7.5. Make playoffs is +225. Miss playoffs is the favorite. Division +350. Conference 55-1. Super Bowl 80-1. They're kind of coming in as a dog, and that's where this team succeeds. Last 24 times they were a dog. ATS, they were 12-12 straight up. So even looking at like week 1 against the Saints, they're a dog. Like they're a team that shows up as a dog.
They show up as a dog again. Mike Vrabel, talent maximizer, 4 out of 5. Like last year was the only. Last year was the only year they went under in the past.
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't.
So again, 7 wins being their floor kind of sets us up for an interesting conversation with the win total being 7.5.
Yes.
And we're late to the party with the division, as I think I've touted on previous shows. Had a late night workshopping session with Hoops Peterson over on VSiN, and we came to Titans plus 420.
Yes,
it spoke to me.
Woo! It's smoking my weed.
And Ryan, just one more fun little nugget here as far as the stats, luck stuff. Since 2000, teams like the Titans, who underachieved in the 80th plus percentile, improved their wins the next season by an average of 1.7 games. Last year, 4 of the 6 teams fit this bucket, and 3 went over their win total by at least 2 games. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings, Buffalo Bills. So Seattle and Vikings, especially in my mind, kind of fit that mold of like, hey, they underachieved before. They have a veteran quarterback, veteran head coach, a head coach we like. Minnesota, slightly different situation, but still, you can see how. I mean, again, Tannehill's been here. And one other nugget, I feel like we've been talking.
Did we even say Derrick Henry's name?
No, we haven't. And again, he defies all. The age models, just blows through him.
He is pushing up against a model.
Yes, a bunch of models. But if there's anyone to break the model, it is. I mean, come on, Derrick Henry doesn't care about your.
They are, and another thing that the people close to the team are signaling is that they are. The scheme does seem like it's going to include a lot more spears to keep Derrick Henry maybe a little bit more fresh. I feel like we've heard that before, and then bang, Derrick Henry comes out and shows us he's got that big dick.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He runs over people. He's
Marshawn Lynch if Marshawn Lynch created himself in a video game. Like that's the best way to describe Derrick Henry. And I think early in the season, like if what I'm reading about them changing the way they're blocking like works, it does sound like it's going to help with the running game most. And what this team could be a very, very big time power team. I mean, Treylon Burks a big guy. D-Hop's a good blocker.
Yeah. They could be a physical team.
They could be a very, very physical team that can also, Tannehill can still probably get loose a little bit. I'm worried a little bit about that CTE creeping in if he does too many read options through the middle. But
well, and Ryan, I'm glad you mentioned Tannehill because I know I've been he to me is in best ball. He's like a great second quarterback. He's free. Again, you can easily stack him with D-Hop and Chig. And I think everyone forgets, like last year, he only had 2 rushing touchdowns.
He runs
but he only started 12 games. The previous 2 seasons where he played the entire season, 7 rushing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. So he is a guy that he's never talked about in the rushing quarterback discussion, but I think 7 rushing touchdowns.
He literally played receiver in college.
Yeah, he's underrated.
Oh,
Yeah, he's kind of a dorky white guy, so I don't think people take him serious. He's up there with Dan Jones.
He's kind of a dumbass too. Like,
yeah,
he is kind of a
maybe dork isn't
total bro. Nerdy bro.
One nugget before we get to the schedule. Schedule, I think, pretty favorable. We'll walk through it. 11 days net rest difference, 4th best in the league, 9th easiest schedule according to win totals. DeAndre Hopkins did say, he tweeted out. It was in response to something a troll said. The tweet's since been deleted.
Of course.
So I can't figure out what the troll said. But DeAndre Hopkins did say, just buy my jersey for your wife at this point. I'm sure she's tired of hearing my name in your sleep. Cold-blooded DeAndre Hopkins. That's a chip on the shoulder team I want to get behind.
Also, I mean, obviously he had, he had some years with Deshaun Watson, but D-Hop's played for a lot of shitty teams. He's going to be loving playing for this kind of dog-filled team.
Yes.
And if you listen to what Treylon Burks is saying, he's like, yeah, D-Hop's really like things are making sense now that D-Hop's here. And so if Treylon Burks becomes a number 2 with Chig on the field, Derrick, I mean, think of all the alphas we're going to see.
Dog central.
I mean, they were the slowest team in the league last year. Worth noting.
You know where you're going to find some dogs? At the Ultimate Contest sign-up weekend at Circus Sports in Las Vegas, August 24th through the 26th. Come out there, sign up for the Circuit Millions, sign up for the Circuit Survivor, hang out with us, crack a couple cold ones, check out Stadium Swim, parlay some preseason football, get ready for the National Football League. And I'll be honest, the biggest reason why Kramer and I'll do my own team as well for the Circuit Millions. Imagine you have that run. Imagine you have that perfect NFL season. You're leaving millions of dollars on the table, $14 million guaranteed. I'd be tossing and turning. I couldn't look myself in the mirror and say, Sean, you're a sports gambler if I wasn't a part of the Circuit Millions or Circuit Survivor. And if you're thinking like, oh, hey, I don't know if I want to do it, blah, blah, blah. Perfect excuse. You and a couple buddies go out there, sign up in Vegas, play from anywhere, split the team together. It's a great way to unite your gambling group chat. Again, get all the details. Come out, hang with us. CircusSports.com for all the details. Ryan, before we even get into it, one more big picture schedule thing.
Okay.
Which I think worth noting is the Titans go up against a number of rookie head coaches, rookie quarterbacks, and bottom tier quarterbacks. So I think that is where a guy like Mike Vrabel thrives. In the same way that Belichick dominates rookie quarterbacks, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw similar solid, good performances with this Tennessee Titans defense against inexperienced or bottom tier quarterbacks.
No, same. I mean,
and head coaching. Like I think he can out coach a lot of the coaches we're going to see on the schedule breakdown.
Yeah, you nailed one element, and this is probably the first team where I feel pretty strongly to say like they also have a ton of schedule rest and just travel advantages. Sean, they don't go into the Mountain or Western time zone.
Oh my God!
I
didn't even have
furthest
that.
west is Houston. So I think Tennessee is not. They're not going to be a team that is going to be looking at too many kind of scheduled quote unquote losses, which for a team in the middle that matters. And then you sprinkle in the fact that it's going to be Vrabel with an experience edge, just a veteran laden team with an experience edge and a defense that is always going to make it difficult to run against them, against a rookie quarterback who then guess where the game goes, onto their shoulders. So, I mean, again, I don't know why it is. Maybe it was that one year we got yelled at by all the fans about how it was bullshit, and we did talk them into an AFC championship. So you're welcome.
Didn't win the AFC championship, but they got there.
I also like talk about a team that doesn't fit the identity of their future stadium. They're going to be a dome team. I assume the roof can open.
Is it a dome?
I believe so. Maybe while we're talking, Josh can find a picture of it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a dome, unless Colby's just gotten into my head. Hopefully,
I do kind of tune out all Colby's.
But they're like a power running team. They need to be on long grass. The grass in Carolina and Tennessee are just longer. I don't know why. All right, so you want to work our way through the schedule? I think you hit most of my nuggets. I have a couple more, but I'll sprinkle them in through the schedule.
Oh yeah, right. This does look like a dome. Breaking news.
When Colby does his Best Buy bit or like mall bit, this actually does look like a mall. Maybe it is a mall. You think it's a mall around a football stadium? How annoying would that be that you got like a fucking Skechers and a Hot Topic as you're trying to go get some fucking beer? That does look pretty nice. They're invested for the future. All right. I mean, honestly, with the value of these teams, you kind of do have to upgrade your stadium, and why not have the city pay for it? At New Orleans to open the season, Chargers at home, at Browns, Bengals at home. Per SGPN doc, it does seem like Joe Burrow will be fine. Although another reason for the Bengals to start slow.
I know, it was funny. My big picture stuff that we were doing early on in the season was, well, the Bengals, they're going to get off to a good start this year because he's not coming off.
You had a list at one point of all the things that happened.
It was like an ACL. It was an appendix. Being a rookie, like there was plenty of stuff that would make sense why Joe Burrow. You see their late season form; they're always good. But now this calf strain is just going to add to a potentially slow start. I mean, I don't want to tease the week 1 picks, but No way am I laying 3.5 for the Saints. Week 1, Chargers on the East Coast. Browns, I think they're a live dog in, and Bengals, I think they're a live dog in. I don't think they beat both those teams, but I'm going to say they go 3-1.
It's also Chargers early kick in Tennessee, which we all know the vortex that gets created in the early kick in Tennessee when they're playing a West Coast team. You went 2-2,
3-1.
They're dogs all 4 games, and you're going 3-1.
Yeah,
because that's what Vrabel does.
He wins as a dog. I put it this way. I don't think they'll actually be dogs for all 4 of those games. I think the line will have adjusted by then.
Here's my handicap. I think if you can pass the ball, you're going to be able, like, you're a little bit more of a threat for me. I think the Chargers, I think the home games are while I don't think they lose both, I think those are the tougher matchups for them. I think when they play the Browns,
elite passing offenses. I agree.
I hate to over handicap this, but I guess I'll just go down the middle and say 2-2.
I agree, but I think if there is someone like the Chargers that Vrabel can out scheme, I think it is them. Bengals, I think obviously is the toughest game. I think their defense could give the Titans some trouble. The Bengals in general defensive scheme is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if they won their road games and lost their home games here, I wouldn't be surprised.
Lube Gaming saying it seems like a Titans fan. He's going to be at the Bengals game on his birthday, October 1st. LFG.
Hell yeah!
We didn't factor that into the handicap. That could swing it for the Titans. I wouldn't be surprised they beat the Bengals. I mean, 4-0. It for me. It's a guy who's drinking that tall glass of this blue Titan Kool-Aid. Certainly could happen, but I'll be conservative here and go 3-1.
2-2. The haters would say, "Boy, these are some tough pass rushes for an offensive line that may struggle."
It's true.
At Colts, Ravens, London game here. So that what is it? They lose a home game, or no? Is this? Yeah, this is a Titans home game, I believe. Then they have the bye week. Falcons at home. Ooh, little Arthur Smith revenge spot against the old Vrabel. Then they have at Steelers on Thursday Night Football, a game that we will almost certainly give to the Steelers here.
Yeah, I mean, road Thursday night games, brutal, and it's starting off a 3-game stretch. I would say though, if you're gonna play the Ravens, I think maybe you do want to play them in London. I don't know if they win that game outright. I think 5.5.
Why do you want to play them in London?
Why
instead of at home?
On
the long.
Well, I guess
grass.
you're right. At home, home is certainly better than in London. I guess I was thinking of instead of playing in Baltimore. So to your point, you do lose that home game. I'll go 2-2.
6 a.m. game too. So we're gonna be eyes on this.
Oh yeah,
eyes on this product.
2-2.
I mean, you know how I feel about the Colts. I do think the Falcons game is going to be interesting. The way I handicap this, if you need to run the ball, I think you're going to have a tough time playing here. So I'll say they beat the Falcons, they beat the Colts, and I'm kind of with you. I think the Ravens game is going to be a little bit more interesting. That's a circle, that one. Vrabel will certainly want to make sure they're ready for. You know what? 3-1.
3-1.
I'll be aggressive here and go.
Okay, so who's the loss then?
Steelers.
Yeah, the road Thursday nights are impossible. You know what, Ryan? You're talking me into it. 3-1. Tighten up. Let's go.
All right, nice.
This is the time.
I'm worried we're jinxing this. I'm worried we're pulling the carpet.
No, because no one else is on the Titans.
Really?
Yeah, I had a moment.
Am I in my own vortex again?
Yeah, Ryan. I don't know what you're. I need to recalibrate your algorithm because I feel like when the Titans got Hopkins, I was like, oh no, here it comes. Everyone's gonna be on the Titans bandwagon. I looked to my left. I looked to my right. There was no one with me on the bandwagon for the Titans.
Oh, Sean, I have a number. I went back. I've been looking at my underdog exposure, and I do have a decent amount of teams where, guess what? I guessed D Hop was going to be on the Titans.
Oh, nice.
So I have a number of Tannehill stacks from early. I mean, he's still basically free. I'm with you. I think that
his ADP was not impacted by the fact they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, who's like the only reason Kyler Murray has ever looked decent is because of DeAndre Hopkins. Like
you said
there are elite possession receivers like a AJ Brown, like a DeAndre Hopkins that can really take your quarterback and pull him up. And
specifically a guy like Tannehill.
Yes,
Specifically
exactly.
a guy like Tannehill. All right. So where am I at right now? I just need to get mindset.
Start at Bucks.
No,
week
no.
10.
I'm asking where.
Oh,
what,
6 and you're 5-3. I'm 6-2.
5-3. All right. So this again, there's a 3-game road stretch in here, right in the middle, and we should mention that it goes. Looking back to week 5, you have at Colts, then a road trip to London. You do take the bye week after the London game, which I don't. Where are you on that? Are you requesting the bye after the London game or
100%? Yeah.
There's still no data, not enough data, but I think I don't think I take the bye there. Then they come back, play a home game, and then Thursday night.
We already did that.
I know. I'm just saying into 3 straight road games. That's tricky. It's not the toughest. At Bucks, they're still favored. At Jags,
you have to grade a loss. Even though I'm down on the Jags, you never win that 3rd straight road game. You just don't. The Bucks, I think, because they have the long rest, I think they can do it.
Mini bye, and then Panthers and Colts, 2 rookie quarterback. I mean, you're gonna have Baker, Trevor Lawrence, 2 rookies.
Yeah, I mean, I
3-1.
I'll go 2-2 because I'm already at 6-2.
What do you mean? Why are you laughing? You're laughing at them beating the Colts and Panthers at home. Where are you? What 2 are the losses?
No, I'm trying to have some restraint. I'm trying to not just go rock hard.
Let's go back. Did we have them? Did we have the Bucks? Let's see. Did the Bucks beat the Titans when we were doing that one?
Well, so we never actually say.
No, I know. I'm just looking.
We give
at
ourselves quadrants.
I'm looking at
flexibility.
I'm looking at the. I did say the quadrants were. I did think that was going to be a good quadrant for the Bucks. So maybe I'm being a little tricky here, but yeah, I love this record so far. All right, so
you're 8-4. I'm gonna go 2-2 here. I'm also 8-4.
Nice. All right, last 5 at Dolphins on Monday Night Football. So that's a tricky spot going down south. Then the short week against the Texans at home, little revenge spot for Vrabel. I think he'll be ready. I think he's got some hatred towards the Texans, like Belichick has towards the Browns. Then you have the Seahawks at home. That's an interesting
Great
spot there.
For them.
Non-conference road spot for Seahawks. And then back to the Texans 2 times in 3 weeks.
Well, and again, why you like Ryan Tannehill is like, look, the end of these best ball seasons. Obviously, if you're in the playoffs, I mean, 15, 16, 17, you have Seattle non-conference road team at home, but then you have 2 division games are interesting for fantasy, but I think they can move the ball against the Texans.
Listen to the games that Seattle plays before this Tennessee game. They have a divisional at Rams, then Niners at Dallas, at Niners, Eagles, then at Tennessee, and then Pittsburgh. So that's going to be a tremendously tough spot. I mean, I think the fact that their schedule is easy and that it's macro easy, I think with who they got. And then if you ignore those, like 3 road games in a row, there's all these like small healthy spots for them where the other team, I mean, Seattle is going to be beat the fuck up. They after San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, and Philly in 4 weeks. Yeah. All right. Let's finish out the schedule. So I don't know.
I think you just didn't say the last game. Jags.
Well, you cut me off because you wanted to get on the Tannehill fantasy.
On the Tannehill best ball. I want to make sure
and I'm impressed you've gotten this whole episode without leaking one of your for sure picks. More Ryan Tannehill love. I mean, how many? So do we have any? Are they beating the Jags at all this year? Because you had them lose them 1 game. So you're.
Yeah, I think they split. I think they could beat the Jags at home. I think they can. I mean, you know what? Fuck it. 4-1. Let's go. Tighten up. 12-5.
12. All right. So is that? Do we have to take a pause?
I'm glad we have a second column, Ryan, in our picks here because I already filled up the first column.
I did that early on. I haven't done that for a ton of teams. I'm glad someone's taking advantage of it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where. I think they split with Houston. I think they beat Seattle, as I highlighted.
I mean, division games can be tough, even if you're not a great team.
So what do I need to get to 12-4? We were at the same thing, right?
You're 8-4, so you would have to go 4-1 to get to 12-5.
All right, Josh, let me see the schedule again. So it's all right. So I'm gonna go. I think I have to go 3 here. 3-2. 3-2.
Okay.
3-2. Let's go.
All right.
I just did my. I feel good. I'm gonna sit up straight in my chair, waggle. It's like when Colby does this.
He starts rubbing his hands together.
YouTube.com/sports gambling podcast.
So Ryan, you officially have the 2023 Tennessee Titans going 11-6. I have them going 12-5.
Yes. I knew you were going to be high on them. This episode was always going to be funny. I came into my prep. Although I thought their prices were interesting.
Yeah.
I still didn't think I was going to be that optimistic.
Well, Ryan, what are some stuff? Because you mentioned you listened to some beat reporters, you dug deep, and you were swayed by some of the stuff. What was like? What? I know we've given out a ton of nuggets, but is there one in particular where you're like, yeah, wait, I'm in on them?
Yeah, just kind of fell into the last 12 months, the firing of the GM, and
the narrative
all
fits
of
this team.
All of the moves since have been about what basically the GM went to Vrabel and said, "What do you need that you didn't have last year? Like, what should we replace and upgrade?" And he said, "Well, receiver, check. Offensive line, check. Need a little bit of help in the defensive backfield, check. Need to replace this Bud Dupree guy, check. Do we have dogs in the locker room? Okay. Can the receiver also be a dog? Check.
Dog.
I mean, yeah, and we barely, I felt like, hit on Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Chiga Conquo, you're going into a back alley. This is what my Pee Wee football coach always told us. It was like 4th grade. He's like, if you're going in a back alley and you're looking to fuck shit up, none of you boys, you're a bunch of boys. You're not men. Never fought in a back alley. He kept mentioning about fighting in back alleys, and these are guys you want to fight in a back alley. And I think they can impose that physicality, especially looking through the schedule. Like 4 games against rookie quarterbacks. Like, come on.
The lack of general bad travel situations. I mean, the worst things that happen to them are some trips to Florida.
Yeah,
and some road trips tied together. D.
Bettis in the chat, who was seemingly more pessimistic than us.
Oh,
he still had them going 9-8 on the season. So even a guy who was seemingly a little more conservative, a little more down, at least compared to us, he still had them going 9-8.
All right, let's get started right there. Then let's talk about win totals. We love the slider.
Yes.
And to me, the Titans are a team you bust the slider out on. Why? Well, they seem to I'm more willing to slide the win totals up than I am down. But also, again, shout out to Cleve Analytics, but he has a chart basically with alt win totals in his preview.
Oh, okay.
Where it kind of also gives you a distribution of like what actually hits.
Yeah.
So you avoid the really extreme stuff. And basically, not surprising, like if you can get a team where the alt number is going to fall into a nice like 8.5, 9.5 range, and maybe a little bit to 10.5. If you're that optimistic, you can really find value there. So for us, that number is 9.5. That feels like the sweet spot. It also feels like a nice way to play them. They could maybe miss the division. They could still win those.
Yeah. What's over 9.5 at?
Plus 250.
Okay.
I 8.5 is plus 150. And of course.
Okay. So what do you like better here? Because make playoffs is plus 225. Titans over 9.5 wins is plus 250.
In the AFC.
Yeah.
Give me over 9.5. 10-win team can miss the playoffs.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'll take off playoffs and I'll replace it with over 9.5 wins.
I think so.
Yeah. And then obviously I like the over 7.5 wins. I think division at plus 350.
Yeah. Already invested. Invested.
Although honestly, like
already invested
at plus 350 versus the over 10.5. This is a better question, Ryan. What do you like better? Titans over 10.5 wins plus 400 or Titans to win the division?
Division. I think when you get to
because they can win at 10-7 the division, right?
I also just don't think that, like I said, I think once you get to 10.5, you're 10.5 on a +3 move. You're getting into the realm of you're probably better off playing the future, because if they get to 11, are they really missing that 350 price? Oh, what is it? 400.
400.
Oh, then.
Because I think they could be 11-6 and not win the division.
No,
right?
You think Jags could be really good, huh?
I'm just saying I'm fading the Jags. I mean, obviously I'm pretty high on them. You know what I'm going to do instead of that? Yeah. I'm going to play over 9.5 wins and over 10.5 wins.
Oh, we're laddering.
Yes.
We're laddering Tennessee.
This is cause I like your division bet, Ryan, but I think the price maybe got away from me. So I'm going to Titans over 7.5 wins, Titans over 10.5 wins, Titans over 9.5 wins. Just ladder their wins. Obviously.
Wait, you got them going 12-4. Do you ladder the 11.5?
What's the 11.5? Ooh, they even have a 12.5.
650. No, because if they go 12-5, they've won the division.
Yeah, I'm not. So 7.5 wins, 9.5 wins, 10.5 wins over on all of them. Okay. Titans to win the AFC at 55-1. If you do take a long shot conference bet, I think this is the fun
Sean,
one to
play.
play.
Can I brag?
Sure.
Got 66-1 in my pocket.
Wow.
I think there was a late night where I might have messaged you, hey, this number seems off. Like most places have 50, 55-1.
Okay. And then Tannehill sprinkle MVP. Cause I do think if they do get to 12-5, 13-4, it's 100-1.
That's just Sean. That's
it's a pizza bet. It's a pizza
I will say, let's talk Mike Vrabel, coach of the year. We've already given this out this offseason. The price was 33-1 when we gave it out. Might have been 35-1. It's now 30-1. That seems worth betting because if they do these things that we're talking about, like if they win the division with a record of 12-5, Mike Vrabel's the fucking coach of the year, right?
Yeah.
I mean
well, and
he's a popular guy. I feel like
we
voting awards.
Yeah. And we both, I'm remembering, I was looking back at the price we got him at.
What was it? 33 or 35?
33. And what is it now?
30.
Okay. So we'll say 30,
fine.
But whatever. Love it because again,
our 10% of CLV is for us, Sean.
Usually it's tough for like a veteran coach like Mike Vrabel to do this, but they have a nice window here. They had such a down year. They were 7-10. They get to 11-6. If they get to 12-5, that is hitting that mark of you need to improve from last year, 4 or 5 games. And I think Vrabel will get a ton of credit if they go on this kind of nice run.
What team do we call the Expendables?
The Rams, because they're a bunch of old guys kind of getting back for one more run. You could make
this
a similar
like a better
case.
version of
it's a more talented and there's more guys.
Yeah, this is like guys who show up with actual military.
And they even have, like
Navy SEALs.
They even have the rookie new guy, Chigokonkwo,
all right,
the young stud.
Navy SEALs movie poster with Titans faces.
Oh yes,
yes.
Is? There's always the computer guy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's.
Oh, that's Kyle Phillips, slot guy.
The slot. How's the slot?
And I mean, Vrabel is just like the Mr. T type leader. They're good.
You want more props?
Sure. I mean, so my official Titans over 7.5 wins, 10.5 wins at plus 400. AFC 55-1. Over 9.5 wins plus 250. Tannehill MVP 100-1. Titans over 10.5 wins as well. We talked about that. I'm gonna leave that one off. And then coach of the year, Mike Vrabel, 33-1.
Yeah, so I'm in on the coach of the year. I'm in on the division. I'm in on the over. The alt 9.5 over sounds like a good spot to get in. I'll get on that as well. I'll even though I have the 66-1, I'll co-sign the long shot 55-1 current price. Well, I mean, I want to. I work.
And
I know
we're getting this all in the sheet. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon if you want to.
Listen. There's a lot of people that spend too much time in virtual reality, including my daughter, and I just want to make sure everyone realizes I'm in reality. So 55-1 is just fine. I got more though.
Okay.
All right. So
and stay tuned. We still have not given out our most likely DGen.
That's also accurate. So I think. Oh, did I close the tab here? Let me just pull it. Derrick Henry. I know you're not supposed to take overs on guys. Actually, let's have a grander conversation, Sean. Okay. You've gotten a lot of slack for this in the past, recently, projecting injury.
Yes.
So let's bring up Derrick Henry's rush touchdown prop, for example.
Okay.
Derrick Henry's rush touchdown prop is at 9.5 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
How does Derrick Henry not go over this prop? Ever since he's been the guy, in 12 games, he rushed for 12 touchdowns. In 15 games, he rushed for 16 touchdowns. In 16 games, he rushed for 17 touchdowns. In 8 games, he rushed for 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And in 16 games, he rushed for 13 touchdowns.
I think if
you're betting this under and you're looking me square in the eyes and say that I'm not betting on an injury. I'm not projecting an injury. I'm not predicting an injury here.
You're lying.
Go fuck yourself. It's all you can say because he played half a season and he went over this.
Yeah.
Give me the over.
Dog.
He can play 8 games again and score 10 touchdowns. This seems silly. Disrespectful. And I wanted to, I'm taking the over purely to show I don't predict injury.
Ryan,
I predict
Ryan
dominance.
Kramer,
All right.
not.
Is there any other?
And just to clarify, it's over 9.5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, the rushing.
He did throw for one to Austin Hooper. Help me cash an 80-1.
The
Or it's
rushing
actually 125.
Rushing yards is 1,300. I'm less likely to take that one.
Yeah,
But the touchdowns, it just when you go through his season year over year, and you see that even in a year where he missed half the year because he got hurt, like you'd be projecting if you took the under, he still went over. Imagine the guy trying to get the refund. He didn't play the whole season. He didn't play 15 of 16 games. Can I get a refund on this? Anything? Any other props here?
I'm good.
You're fully loaded.
Locked and loaded.
Because okay, yeah, we can be done. We did. I was just reviewing the bets. Let's give out our D-Gen. That's probably a good angle.
Most likely D-Gen. Ryan, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, mine's not. I mean, yours is certainly, without knowing it, more fun. So let's get mine out of the way. When you're willing to bet your dick, I know Mike Vrabel is a basic take, only. But I've known guys that like to bet. And if you bet on one thing, you bet on everything. And if you're willing to bet your dick, like that's not a double dare.
No,
that's not a truth or dare. You got to run naked through the quad. That's living life without a dick. He's saying I've used my dick enough. I've completed that.
Ready to sacrifice it for the ring.
I finished that video.
And he won a Super Bowl as a player. Like he knows how awesome a Super Bowl is. Like that's why it's great.
He's saying sex with my wife is less than a Super Bowl, so take my dick. Marshawn Lynch once said, "Hold my dick." Mike Vrabel said, "Take my dick."
Take my dick. Cut it off. All right. For me, we're going to an offensive lineman, rookie, just drafted, Peter Skoronski. First off, Skoronski. I mean, he sounds like a made guy. Sounds like a bookie.
Sounds like someone who collects. He drives around and collects.
You could imagine your buddy. Shit, Skoronski's been breathing down my neck trying to get me. Does Skoronski accept Venmo payments? I'm deep in the hole with Skoronski. Plus, he is coming from Northwestern, aka where all those hazing allegations, that big story came. They asked him about what happened and the hazing, and he said, "Quote, I'll just say I had a great college experience." So that means. At the very least, Peter Skoronski knows how to keep a secret, and that's what you're looking for in a MLD, and a guy who probably doesn't play by all the rules.
Well, great opportunity to play the dick rubbing drop, because it sounds like he might like that. If he had a great experience at the car wash,
a dick rubbed on me tonight.
Well, unclear if he's the car, the washer. Again, he didn't go into details. He just said he had a great time. A guy named Skoronski who.
Well, we did hear the inside Iggy that it was just fat guys doing fat guy stuff.
Doing weirdo fat guy stuff.
Which
what
is
does
code
that
for
mean?
Offensive linemen do gross shit. You've heard them. I mean, I have
not dug deep enough probably into the story, but
Lawrence Taylor tells a great story about no one fucked with Lawrence Taylor, but the linemen, the linemen were the only people he wouldn't fuck with. And he tells this story about how one time he fucked with a lineman and there was shit involved. And so that's linemen just do wacky stuff.
Fat guys do weirdo stuff. Producer Josh tossed in Malik Willis as his most likely D-Gen. He's a fun candidate.
Yeah, I guess he went to Liberty.
Yeah.
Head tilt. Look at the list of props you have. Sean.
Yes. YouTube.com/sportsgaming podcast. Again, over 7.5 wins, over 9.5 wins. Division. Although actually, you know what? Scrap the division.
Oh wow. Update and give me over 9.5 wins. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. I want my cart full.
7.5, 9.5, 10.5 wins. AFC Championship, Tannehill MVP, Vrabel 30-1.
That's a great idea
and
for a show.
Skoronski.
It's like
MLD
supermarket sweeps. or whatever. We got it. But it's betting. You have like a limited amount of time.
You can only put so much in your cart
to spend your money. Right to Tannehill 100-1.
All right, Kramer. Anything else? We got more team previews on the way. Your G-men coming up next. That's
hold
gonna
on.
be fun.
I even made a note. Reminder scheduling note. All right. Here's what we got next week. Sunday night, we got the Giants. We got the Packers and Panthers on Monday. Bears and Broncos on Tuesday. Falcons and Sean. It says here we'll be talking about live football.
Oh my God!
Hall of Fame game picks.
Oh my God!
I tweeted out, get in on the Hall of Fame game under because that thing is going to drop next week once
people realize
the fish come back.
Then you got
waters.
Thursday. We got the Vikings and Steelers, and we got a little action with Friday Seahawks talk, and maybe a bonus episode next week. Talking a little college football, so stay tuned.
Yes. Oh yeah, I know the guests too. Got some good guests coming up. Tons of great content. Again, support the war on against corporate gambling. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/Patreon.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he's Ryan.
Tighten up, baby.
Kramer, let it ride.